Okay, everyone, good morning. Welcome to the final morning briefing of the week. It's Friday, the 14th of March, and we're looking ahead to the penultimate Glasgow derby of the season, Celtic versus Rangers on Sunday. We've got build-up today, plenty of things to discuss with me, Hamish, and Josh as well. Hello, Josh.
Morning, a nice sunny morning actually, so very much
Is
looking
it?
forward. Aye, very. Sun is splitting the trees, thankfully.
Get any more kind of weather stuff to impart on us?
Not much. As long as it stays like that on Sunday for the game, I'll be happy.
Apparently, it's to be sunny. I was looking earlier on Sunday. I always think a derby in the sun
Yeah,
is just adds something to everyone's ready to go. And yeah, looking forward to Sunday.
yeah, it'll be a good game. I think atmosphere will be top. Obviously, with the 2,500 Rangers fans going, that certainly adds something to the fixture. So I think a lot of people. I mean, it kind of splits opinion with the away fans, but personally, I welcome it. With Rangers fans coming back, it adds to the atmosphere for me. So, like you say, hopefully the sun is splitting the trees. Everyone shorts and t-shirt. That adds to the limb potential, in my opinion. So very much looking forward to the game.
Wazza boy -16 in Govan on Sunday. Very clever, Wazza boy. You're on form today. Also saying, let's get into them Sunday. They will be tired after last night. We'll get onto all of that kind of chat. I want to get plenty of your comments in as well today, everyone. So thoughts on the game. I don't know if there is a debate to be had on the starting 11. Personally, I would struggle to put an argument for anyone else unexpected to start the game. But I don't know, maybe you're a stronger debater than me, and you can put a case forward for Greg Taylor or Yang or Adam Ida or someone like that. So let us know. And just your general thoughts on the game. Where do you think it'll be won? Where do you think it'll be lost? How are you feeling ahead of the match? That kind of stuff. First up, a quick word from our sponsor. This Celtic Way video is brought to you by S1 Jobs. If it's time to hand in your transfer request, then head over to s1jobs.com and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Glasgow, Edinburgh, and the surrounding area, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs. Start your search today. Did you watch Rangers last night? This is one of the few times you can actually admit to having watched Rangers because we're about to play them.
Yeah, I was covering the game, obviously for the Herald and such. It's an interesting one. I think Fenerbahce, as Jose Mourinho touched on after the game, for the 90 minutes, the 120 minutes, they were the better team. They won 2-0. It's the first time Rangers have lost 4 games in a row at home in 90 minutes. But at the end of the day, in the overall tie, they managed to go through. They sneaked through in penalties. I think Fenerbahce, when they were in the ascendancy, when it was 2-0, they failed to really take their opportunities to make it 3-0 on the night and put themselves ahead in the tie. And that came back to bite them on spot kicks. Jack Button with a couple of saves. Unfortunately for Rangers, they failed to make them in the cup final when it mattered for them. But he comes up trumps there in the Europa League. Athletic Club up next for them. I think that'll be a really tough challenge. The likes of Nico Williams. They've got a strong side. The second leg back at the San Mamés. They've obviously Athletic Club are hosting the final this season, so they'll be desperate to get through. And I think they will knock Rangers out in the quarterfinal.
Great club as well, aren't they? Athletic Club, good relationship with Celtic. Some of the stuff they did, was it for Billy McNeil? I
Yeah,
remember them having. I remember John Clark being over there. I think Billy McNeil's wife was
yeah,
maybe there. Some of the rest of the family, and we obviously played them for James Forrest testimonial as well. So I think I was about to give an example of a kind of disliked team that Celtic fans would still be supporting just because they're playing Rangers. I don't know, Millwall or someone like that. But especially with someone like Athletic Club, I think they'll get a lot of support from the Celtic support. But we don't need to touch on that because we don't really care. It's the Champions League we bother with, and we're all pretty happy with the Celtic's campaign there. I do think just on the actual game last night, I know they have gone through and they're probably going to take a bit of a boost from that. Clearly, the celebrations at the end. I do, and this isn't just maybe as a bitter Celtic fan speaking, but I do think they were pretty poor last night. I didn't see anything from the performance that would massively or at all concern me on Sunday. I thought they're just really pedestrian team. So slow to watch. You could hear even on a European night at Ibrox, and we know they love a Thursday night, you can even hear the support getting on the team's back a bit. So I just think it's all about us on Sunday with these derbies. If we come with the right attitude and have a point to prove, which I think we do, I don't know, I just feel really good about Sunday.
Yeah, in terms of confidence levels of Rangers, they'll obviously be through the roof, but at the same time, as I said earlier, they lose a game 2-0 in 90 minutes. So it's not as if they've went out, they've played well. So I think there's a lot of arguments about Rangers being tired and such because they've played 120 minutes of football. I remember a cup semi-final a couple of years ago. Rangers go to extra time on the Thursday night and they managed to beat Celtic in that semi-final on the Sunday in extra time. So I don't think that argument holds much validity. We'll just have to wait and see on Sunday. But like you say, it's all about Celtic, especially at home in a derby. You really need to impose yourself in the game. You really need to start fast. Celtic have been good at that in recent times against Rangers at home. So that's what it's all about. Nothing about Rangers, how they're going to set up, where it's Ferguson's going to go with a back five or whatever. That doesn't really matter. Because Celtic have got the quality that if they turn up, they can beat any Rangers side, I feel.
Did you see the clip of him after the game with all his numbers?
Yeah.
I need to see the full context for that, but he's going, is it 4, 3, 1, 5, 3? What was all that about? But you just you look at that and you just think, oh, Brendan, just go and eat him up and eat Rangers up on Sunday. What's filling you with the most confidence for Sunday? Is there a specific thing?
I just think the quality of player is a big thing as well. You look at the guys Rangers have, you always have arguments through the years of whether you would take any Rangers players in the Celtic team.
Right, let's do it then. Go on. Are you taking anyone?
No, that's the thing. The only player I would take in the Celtic team as a squad player is Václav Černý. But the rest of them you're not taking, and that's what says to me that Celtic have a much higher quality squad. You look at players all over the park. Celtic are having numerous players regularly linked to big clubs across Europe. The same can't really be said for anyone at Rangers. That says a lot as well. So the quality, the recent domestic form is a big thing as well. Rangers have been ropey lately, losing to Motherwell at home, St Mirren, Queen's Park. In recent history of the fixture as well, the 3-0 game at Ibrox at the beginning of the year was really a one-off. I think a lot of people agree with that. In the recent history of the fixture at Parkhead, Celtic have only lost one in the last 12 years at Celtic Park with fans in, and that was Gerrard's Rangers, celebrated like they won the league that day, only to lose it a couple of months later. So yeah, I think Celtic have the right to be confident going into the game, but there's a fine balance, I always think, between confidence and arrogance, and you have to strike that very well, and I think Celtic will be able to do that. They've played in big games. Brendan Rodgers knows the fixture well, and I think he'll have something on his mind, not so much in the terms of revenge, but in terms of proving a point against this Rangers team after Celtic were really embarrassed at the beginning of the year. So that'll be a big thing for him and for the players, I think, as well.
I don't know if you caught the Celtic TV interview with Brendan Rodgers yesterday, but he actually brought up. Sorry, he didn't bring up. He was asked by the interviewer about the game at the start of January, and I think the question was something like, "Does that really factor into your thinking?" And he said, "Yeah, it does." He says it comes into the thinking for this game. Our standard wasn't met that day. We didn't meet the demands of the game, and it was a surprise. Were all things he said about that game. So I have absolutely no doubt from that as much as, like, we've talked about this a fair bit in the past couple of weeks with Hibs as well, but revenge isn't really a thing that you want your team to be looking for, because I think all the kind of various things that go with revenge are, aggression and things like that aren't necessarily suited to a derby day. I think you need to be controlled in a derby game. So going in with like fire in your belly, fair enough to an extent, but you don't want to be going in just thinking of revenge. But I think it's clear that that's going to be on the players' minds. We didn't do ourselves justice in the last game. To be honest, in the cup final, as much as we won that, and I don't think Rangers were dominant in that game like some people are saying. I thought that was a pretty even final. But again, Rangers kind of nullified us a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I remember after the game at Ibrox, there were a lot of comments about dear Philip, I've forgotten his name. He's called Philip Coutinho, Philippe Clement, Philippe Clement working out, Brendan Rodgers, etc. We need to plan. So we'll find out on Sunday whether there's a different plan there. I'm very much of the belief that if Celtic play anywhere near our top level, at Celtic Park especially, I don't think Rangers are able to deal with that. So that's the big question for me. Are Celtic going to come out and play at a similar level to what we saw in the first derby this season? Or even maybe, I even think a performance on Sunday would give us a good chance. I thought Sunday was pretty controlled. Do that with a bit more quality going forward, maybe. And I think we'll be okay on Sunday.
Yeah, you're totally right. The class of the team should shine through, and the quality of the team should shine through. Celtic they've not been really at it in the last two derbies as much as, like you say, they won the cup final. The performance wasn't really there that day in terms of a real dominant display against Rangers. So I think Rodgers will be looking to that first derby, Parkhead, at the beginning of the season, where Celtic really blew Rangers away that day, and everyone said, you could argue more or less from that point on the league was over, just in terms of how far Celtic were ahead. So yeah, it's just about inserting that dominance again, asserting rather that dominance this weekend. I think they're more than capable in terms of dominating the ball. You're going to look to do that. Rangers will have spells, and it could galvanise the away supporters, but I think Celtic will be looking for that fast start. If you score in the first 5 minutes, the Rangers team can fold. Definitely. Yeah. I think that we've seen that in derbies gone by where you score early doors. But one thing I would say is you look at the 3-0 game at the beginning of the season, but before that, it's 2-1 and 2-1 under Rodgers at Parkhead last season, and Celtic were really holding on at the end of both of those games. Rangers I think Celtic went 2-0 up in both of them, and Rangers got a goal back. So it's really about burying Rangers and taking your chances and being clinical in front of goal, because you don't want to offer them a route back into the game in any way, shape or form, especially with you can say it's only 2,500 supporters, but if Rangers are just one goal behind going into the last 15-20 minutes, you'll hear those supporters in the corner. So it's really about being clinical in front of goal, taking your chances and making sure at the end of the game that you're not holding on, it's not nervy, there's not angst or anxiety around the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to the recent derbies at Celtic Park, I think start of the season, I watched the highlights of that the other day, and it was complete annihilation in that first half. We could have scored 5 goals pretty easily. Hatate missed a great chance. We had the offside one. That, by the way, not to bring up an incident from 8 months ago or something, maybe not as much as that, but I'm not sure that was offside. The one we had disallowed Kyogo, I think it was early on. Bernardo missed a really good chance. We were great in that game. The two prior ones, the 2-1 games from memory, I think were pretty good in the first half of those games as well, and certainly were dominating them and probably didn't take our chances. But Celtic Park, our record in this fixture is really strong. Right, I'll go through a few comments. You can pick up on anything you want here, Josh. Just feel free to butt in. You get Pete saying, starting 11 picks itself these days. We'll just tackle that. I mean, how sure are we that the team virtually all of us think is going to start is actually going to start?
I think it's pretty certain. I could rhyme off the 11 names right now, and I don't think anyone would have any major disagreements. Obviously, Schmeichel, Carter Vickers, Trusty is the first choice partnership now at centre half. Johnston right back. Schlupp has really come into the team recently and done really well. He's made that left back spot his own. Put Greg Taylor out the team. The midfield trio picks itself as well. McGregor, Hatate, Engels. There could be a slight argument to give Luke McCowan the nod, but I feel him coming off the bench for the last 30, 20 minutes could be a real weapon going into the closing stages of the game.
McGregor will be fine, won't he? Because, I mean, there's a bit of chat. I know he went off at the weekend, and I think the week prior at St Mirren he had an issue, but he's probably going to be fit for that. We'll find out later today, I guess.
Yeah, I think he should be fine. Then you look at the front three, yet again, picks itself. Maeda's the man of the moment, so he'll start up front. Kuhn on the right, Jota on the left.
Is there any part of you with Dyson Maeda, because he's been so effective off the left against Rangers, against Tavernier? Is there any? And Tavernier is Rangers' biggest threat, I think. Is there any part? I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't think for a minute that Maida should start on the left, but
I don't think there's not much doubt that he'll play on the left for me. I think he'll play up front. Jota, I think Jota actually, watching the game at the weekend against Hibs, I thought he'd done some pretty decent defensive actions in the final third in terms of his pressing. Rodgers spoke about that when he initially came to the club. I think it was around about the Bayern Munich game, the second leg, where he said Jota's just getting up to speed in terms of the pressing patterns of the team, and I think he's been quite good in that. So it'll be interesting to see how he does at the weekend. But yeah, Maid up front, Kuhn on the right, and then similarly to McCowan in the midfield, you'll be looking to bring Yang on in the final 20 to 25 minutes as a real weapon to get those tired Rangers defenders. So the team really picks itself. You've got options off the bench in terms of Ida, Yang, Luke McCowan in the midfield. If you need to shore it up at the back, you've got guys like Greg Taylor, Tony Ralston. So a really strong lineup and one that is very settled.
Yeah, we bit of chat about Liam Scales. I think, as I understand it, he'll be missing for I think around a month after that knock he picked up against St Mirren. So he won't be available for this weekend. I wouldn't have thought. Right, Wazza boy again. I'm pretty calm for Sunday. Think we will win comfortably. Henrik McLarston as well. First time I'm feeling relaxed about a derby. We're pretty much full strength. Hope I don't jinx it. John wants Jota hand in the air, Maida song, and Ida knee slide celebrations. Not asking for too much there, John. Hazel Schlupp has to play. He can make all the difference to this game. I know you wanted to just mention that because Czerny is probably the one Rangers player you'd pick out at the moment. I don't think he's particularly quick at all, and I think their team lacks pace throughout it.
Yeah,
but he does look like a player capable of making something happen and twist and turn and that kind of thing. So you're going to need Schlupp to have a good game up against him.
Yeah, definitely. Watching Rangers game last night in the Europa League, I thought he was probably the best player in the park for Rangers in terms of his quick feet, getting forward in the final third, beating players, taking shots at goal. We didn't score in the game, but he still looked very good. And like you say, Schlupp up against him, I think it's a key battle. If Jeffrey Schlupp can nullify Czerny's threat, then I don't think there's much Rangers can do in the final third. He's very much their key asset in terms of creating chances, taking shots at goal, being the architect of everything. You heard it on commentary last night if anyone was watching on TNT. Ali McCoist, as much as I don't really like his commentary, just constantly saying give the ball to Czerny, and it's a totally valid argument. So if Jeffrey Schlupp can pocket him, that would be ideal for Celtic. We've seen Schlupp do it with Michael Olise away at Bayern Munich, and Václav Czerny is nowhere near the quality of Michael Olise. So I think I'm confident in Jeffrey Schlupp and his abilities, that he can quiet Czerny at the weekend.
He should be quite well suited, I would say, to the game. Schlupp, like he's not really flustered by many things, which I think is summed up by his performance in Munich. I think that was that maybe his second start for us in Munich, and he was brilliant that night. So I just feel, could be famous last words, but I just feel pretty secure with Schlupp. You know, for a lot of players, your first taste of the derby would be quite a big thing, and I think he's the only one that would be making his debut this weekend. Who else are we signing in January?
The only player,
Jota. Jota had already obviously played in it, but I just think Schlupp will be fine, and that experience he's got in the Premier League, he's got pace, power. He doesn't shirk a challenge. Very good aerially, so I just think he'll be fine. Engels, it'll be his first start in a derby, assuming that he starts.
It will be actually, because he didn't start at Ibrox, did he? That's interesting. Obviously he just signed the most recent derby. I remember that. Then talking to Philippe Clement telling him it was a good move to join Celtic, and then plays in the cup final, gets struck by a coin at Ibrox. So yeah, this could be a big game for Engels actually. When you think about it, record signing, really coming alive in a game like this, it's a really big opportunity for him actually, and really showing what he can do. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how he does actually. That's a point I didn't even think of. Yeah,
he should be quite well suited, you would think, as well for the derby with his powerful running and ability to play under pressure. Okay, Pete saying motivation, not revenge. Gary talking about revenge as well. Best served cold, but it's going to be warm and we'll be on fire. Henry McLaughlin, boring for fans, but the week off will definitely give a lot of time on the training pitch to work and stuff. I think that's a really, good point that as fans we probably don't realise how important actual time on the training ground is for these players, because they won't have had much of it over the past 3 or 4 months, but the opportunity to work on certain things and have a full week to prepare for this match. Meanwhile, Rangers are just, I would assume, would just be starting preparing for the match today at training. So that must be an advantage as well.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe not in terms of energy levels and such, due to the point I mentioned earlier, but definitely tactically and what you can work on in the training ground, whether that be pressing patterns, whether that be playing out from the back, set piece routines even. You've got 5-6 days to work on stuff behind the scenes. So that's a key positive, yeah, definitely, because Rangers, they play last night. Players probably aren't getting home to 1-2 in the morning. They go in, they do recovery today, and we'll only have really one day out in the training pitch fully, and that'll be tomorrow. And the game's on Sunday, early kickoff. So, yeah, Celtic have got a real upper hand in that sense.
What else have we got? So McLaughlin P saying we're unbeaten in 13 or 14 derbies before the new year. Law of averages, nothing more than that. I mean, our record in this fixture up until New Year was excellent. And my worry going into all of the fixtures at the moment, these days with derbies, my worry isn't really Rangers ever, to be honest. My worry is Celtic's approach, and is there any complacency there? And I think potentially in January, there was a bit of complacency there to an extent, and then I think we kind of just got a bit spooked, to be honest, in the atmosphere and all of that stuff. But I don't sense that will be the case on Sunday. I just think the fact that we lost the last derby so badly, that was a properly bruising day. We all absolutely hated it. I just think that'll be on the players' minds constantly this week. And I just think it'll be like Sunday. You know how the team meant business on Sunday, and you could tell that right away. It'll be that times about 10, I think, this coming week.
On the New Year derby, Rodgers spoke about it immediately after that game, subconsciously. Going into the game, Celtic were 13 points clear. So mentally, there's obviously going to be that subconscious sense of complacency that, 13 points clear, it doesn't matter if we lose today, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously you go and get beat 3-0, which in a derby against your biggest rivals is never, never nice. So that'll be definitely on the minds of the players in terms of laying down a marker. And like you say, you're looking for that controlled display, but you've seen it at times in the past in Celtic come up against teams who are on an up at the minute. For example, Aberdeen in the League Cup semi-final really put down a marker that day, winning 6-0 after Aberdeen came to Celtic Park a couple of weeks prior and drew 2-2. Similarly, Hibs, like you say, you go to Easter Road, you get beat. Hibs come to Celtic Park, big cup game, 7,000 away fans. It's a really controlled, dominant performance. It should have been more than 2-0. So similarly, Rangers, last time played Celtic, 3-0 at Ibrox. Okay, come to Celtic Park. Let's see what Celtic can do. Is it going to be another controlled, dominant display where Celtic really lay down a marker and show and prove that the dominant force like they are?
Yeah, I mean, just the point you're making there, McLaughlin P again saying the group has a good record of correcting any wrongs, and even away from, against certain teams, Aberdeen and Hibs, and even Bayern Munich to an extent in the second leg, they just, this season, of any time there's been a bad result, the reaction has been really good. Even Hibs a couple of weeks ago, I think we reacted with a 5-1 win over Aberdeen, and Dortmund, the reaction to that was really good, both immediately and then in our next Champions League game as well. So whatever it is, whatever they have at the club to deal with these bad defeats, whether it's Brendan Rodgers, Callum McGregor, other experienced players, or to be honest, probably just a really good group in there, they really do tend to deal with setbacks pretty well. And it's a weird one, because a few people saying, talking about revenge and stuff like that when Rangers have won one of the last however many derbies, 11 or 12 or something like that. So it's a bit daft saying that. I just think there'll be just that extra motivation this weekend for the team. And God, if it's just the Celtic we love to watch, turning up, slick passing, you'll be able to tell early on the team will be up for it. We're just such a good team. We're so much better than any domestic team when we're playing like that. You saw that on Sunday against Hibs, who are the second best team in Scotland at the moment. And I think you'll see it again on this weekend, hopefully.
I mean, look at the points cap as well. That's something a lot of people talking about Celtic are 16 points clear, and if they win on Sunday, they could go 19 points clear at the top of the table. That's a mammoth lead if they're able to open that gap up. But it's not something Celtic don't deserve. In terms of their performances and their consistency throughout this season, they fully warrant a 19-point lead at the top of the table over Rangers. So that's another big thing going into the game that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. The chance to go 19 points clear, and really Celtic win on Sunday. It's, if one hand isn't already on the title, it's 1.5 hands on the title on Sunday. What is it? 3 wins away. Win on Sunday.
2 after,
2 wins away. So yeah, it's a really big day. And if Celtic win, I think it'll be the chance of champions again. All that stuff will be coming out.
Yeah, it's just such an exciting game. Just a few more comments before we head. So Steve's always good for a stat. Maida scored at least 1 goal in the last 10 domestic games he has started. Quite a few assists too. I mean, I didn't actually realise that. That's a hell of a...
He's one of them,
because he scored hat-trick in there as well and a couple of braces.
Yeah, he's one of the most informed players in Europe at the minute. I don't think that's controversial to say in terms of how he's been doing lately, and his record in the fixture is actually pretty good this season. 2 goals in 3 games. Obviously scored at Parkhead, scored in the cup final.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't score at Ibrox, but yeah, his record in the fixture is good. He likes a goal against Rangers. Then at the end of last season, put it on a plate for John Lundstrom at Parkhead. So
had that one at Ibrox as well, didn't he, in the first minute?
Exactly. So he's really grown into a key figure in this fixture, and I think that'll be the same tomorrow. It'll be the first time actually I think he'll have played, if he plays through the middle, which I think he will. It'll be the first time he's played through the middle against Rangers and really shown what he can do there. So looking forward to seeing how he does.
That is really exciting though, having him going through the middle, because I think, again, I've only seen limited bits of Rangers. I think last night was the first time I'd watched them since the last derby. But their defence, I've always thought, is a little bit slow in the turn. Mm-hmm. And someone like Daizen Maida just capitalising on that. There was even an example in the awful game at Ibrox, the disallowed Kyogo goal that people seem to kind of forget. But that was that incisive pass over the top. And that's the kind of thing, if we're looking for that, I really think will give us some joy. But just the thought of Nicholas Kuhn, if he's playing like he was in the first half against Hibs, he could light it up on the right-hand side. And Jota, I know Ryan thinks that it's a big one for Jota. You just, behind them, you've got Tati, Engels, McGregor. It's just, there's a lot of problems for them to deal with.
Even Schlupp bombing forward as well. We've seen what he can do in terms of the attacking side of his game of late. St Mirren away, goal and an assist, getting to the byline. So that's another headache for the Rangers defenders. And like you say, their centre-halves are slow. As much as, I quite rate Leon Balogun, he's a 36-year-old guy. He's their oldest, yet probably best defender, but he's quite slow. Same with John Souttar, same with James Tavernier. Jefte is erratic. I think it'll be John Sterling on the right wing, but he had a bit of a nightmare there last night.
So you don't rate them then, do you? I'm getting that impression you don't particularly rate Rangers as a team.
No, I think that's the same with a lot of people in Scottish football, to be honest. Look at the top of the table, look at the gap. I think that really says it all.
All right. Hazel, Brendan Rodgers have shown the players the last derby match loss again. He will have them fired up for this one. I wonder if they have, at the very least, watched clips of that game. I'd sit down and just stick that game on and just go, feel angry, guys. I know we don't want the players to be angry, but you want them to be motivated. But how passive we were in that game, and to an extent the cup final, just go out and give them everything. You're going to have 96% of the stadium backing you. Go and make it horrible for Rangers on and off the pitch.
Yes, you should never need any motivation going into a Celtic Rangers game as a Celtic player at Parkhead, chance to go 19 points clear. You shouldn't need to be motivated for that. But if the players aren't, then that 3-0 loss at Ibrox at the beginning of the year, just show them that. But let them watch the pain of being rattled by your rivals and look to put that right on Sunday.
So you think we're going to put it right? I mean, I know you won't want to make any major predictions when you'll be back on here after the game at some stage, but do you ever get a feeling ahead of these games that it might be a really enjoyable afternoon, and do you have one ahead of this game?
I've not got any particular feelings towards it, actually. I think it's just going to be interesting in the sense that I think Barry Ferguson's going to have Rangers right up for this in terms of flying into tackles. I expect them to be very, very, very aggressive. So it could be, I think it either goes one or two ways. It's a Barry Ferguson masterclass and they're all shouting for him to get the permanent job at Ibrox, or it goes the other way and it's a field day for Celtic and Ferguson's raging in the dugout along with the likes of McGregor, Dodds and McCann. We'll just have to wait and see. I think if Celtic turn up, as we've said throughout this show today, if they turn up, they'll win comfortably.
Okay, that's how we'll finish. In fact, I've got 2 comments just to finish. Neil saying they were shocking off the ball last night and won't have much of it on Sunday, you'd imagine. Early goal and bury them. And Gary saying Schlupp is a powerhouse akin to CCV. So glad he joined us. Okay, well, I'm signing off for now, as is Josh, but the rest of the guys will be with you in the lead up to the game, everyone. Still got a couple of days to go until kickoff. They're going to drag in, as they always do. But I think Celtic are going to be fine on Sunday. I think the team's going to be motivated. And as I keep saying, if Celtic are anywhere near their top level against any Scottish team, I think it's incredibly difficult for the opposition. So hopefully that's the case on Sunday. Enjoy the game, everyone. As I say, plenty more videos and stuff online coming before kickoff. But I'll chat to you post-match on Monday morning.